Hello and welcome to Motorsport UK, our second show from Snetterton. Today is a sports car double bill with the Porsche Carrera Cup Great Britain coming up later on. First though, it's the magnificent combined sound of the V6s and V8s of the Ginetta GT4 Supercup. They're on the grid right now and Paul O'Neill is with me in the commentary box. The GT4 Supercup pole position to yesterday's winner again, James Kellett. Hasn't been beaten on the road so far this year. Aston Miller though is alongside, and then Tom Empson. Pole position for the 56 amateur class is Darren Leung from Wes Pearce, who won outright at Knock Hill. Then Colin White completing row 3. The fourth row, Henry Dawes, Josh Poulan, who won the 55 Pro category yesterday, his first win. Connor Garlick next up from James Taylor, then Nick Halstead, and another maiden win yesterday for James Townsend in the 55 amateurs. Ian Duggan next up from Luke Waugh, then it's Luke Reed, a non-finisher yesterday, along with Mike Brown, Daniel Morris and Blake Anglis, who was disqualified for a little bit of contact. James Kellett and Aston Miller about to resume battle here. Kellett got away well yesterday, so too did Aston Miller. Kellett now gets away well, but we've got Colin White stalling on the grid. Colin a little bit recalcitrant, maybe having an issue with the new kit that's in the car. We'll come to that. But it is Kellett that leads from Miller. Tom Empson in third place. Darren Leung next up. Then Wes Pearce. Someone said it looks like one of those drum kit or drumstick sweeties, Wes Pearce's car, the two-tone pink and blue. Might be worth him seeking them out for a bit of marketing potential. But what a great start once again, as expected by James Kellett.
Yeah, Empson had a look in that 27 at P2 Millar, had a bit of contact into the hairpin, and he's just dropped back a touch now. And there's a bit going on. Look, we've got a new third-placed person, and that is Darren Leung.
There he is, has a look up the inside to Darren. He was actually quickest in the Friday testing in the morning. Henry Dawes having a look at Empson now as well. So go through into Hamilton Corner for the first time of asking. Aston Miller did keep James Kellett pretty keen in the opening stages of yesterday's race, but Kellett ultimately did what he's been doing on the road all season so far, pulling away, and he's actually away now, isn't he, with it, with Leung the leading amateur driver, then Empson, Dawes. Dawes had a really good battle actually with Darren Leung yesterday, wound up just going off but recovered very, very well indeed. Pearce going through next up, then Colin White after his poor start, trying to make up some ground at the moment, but this one looks like it's going to be another Kellett benefit.
Looks like it, doesn't it? And the next little battle I was seeing in front here, Empson and Dawes in the 58, that's where it's at, and I've got to say, Leung has got into that P3 and he looks pretty comfortable with it, and they're chasing him.
Yeah, Darren moving up from the Ginetta Academy. How successful has the Academy been as a feeder championship to bring drivers in and right into the top level? You look at, Darren Leung, he could well be classified as a pro, couldn't he? The performances that he's been putting in.
Yeah, unbelievable for someone who hadn't even done a track day a couple of years ago, and he's up there battling and being fastest in some of the practice sessions as well. So very bumpy on the way into turn one. I've not really noticed that before at Ritchie's. So yeah, those cars bumping around on that front axle. Restart then, so Colin White, you can see, just can't get it going. Oh, I tell you what, they were lucky. How did nobody hit him? Wow.
He's looking at James Taylor here. James, the leader in G55 Pro, so this isn't a battle for championship points between the two of them. Let's just see if Colin can effect the pass. Goes to the outside here. He's going to just grunt it down into the hairpin. Move complete by Colin White, but coming back to the launch control that they've got. A nice move by Ginetta. It's a new product, they're still developing it. Would Colin have had an issue with it? It's the first weekend they had it. It was only fitted prior to the start of free practice.
Yeah, I would have thought so. When you're using different gadgets and gizmos in the car, I've had it in British touring cars. You have a line lock that locks the front axle, and then you go full throttle. You press a button, that then just steadies the rev so it doesn't rev too much. If you do anything too much or too little, it will stall the car, and I think that's what's happened to him. And obviously, it's very, very grippy out there as well. So yeah, I'm sure he'll get used to that.
Here is the 77. Now, we were talking about this earlier on. That's a shame for Connor Garlick in the EU Tags car. He's got a new sponsor on board. That's a shame for Connor. I bigged him up yesterday. I was chatting to him and his mum and dad. He's come through the junior route, and EU Tags a new partner for him. But I was saying, you know, you're going to get there with that win. He's been knocking on the door of the win. It's not going to come today, and we've got the reverse grid later on, as Empson now is teeing up to have a look at Darren Leung, and this is a difficult thing to do. Leung knows he's in a different class, but Darren would like an overall podium here.
He would, and he's doing the brilliant defensive action here. Empson's got nowhere to go, and Leung really, this shouldn't be happening. Leung is absolutely punching well above his weight. Look at the traction he gets out of Wilson's. This is proper stuff, and he's not close enough now going into the left-hander at Palmer's. He's fending him off, and now Dawes will be thinking about an attack on Empson. He needs to keep backing them up whenever Empson gets close, so he gets into the clutches of Dawes.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff, and it's similar to the mini race that we had earlier on in the day, when the dynamic changes when another driver joins in with the battle through the hairpin. They go down towards Hamilton again. Dawes will be keen not to have a repeat of yesterday, where he went off and he went back, but he did a super drive back through the field. Hence him being right up at the sharp end here, regardless of class, regardless of car. Where you finish in race 1 and 2 is where you start in the following race.
Proper stuff this is. Darren Leung in that 22. There is so much dive across that front axle, so when he hits the brakes, his car looks a lot softer than the others, and there's so much what we call nose on the front of the car when he turns, when he hits the brakes. Watch when he hits the brakes. Look how much the front of the car dives into the floor. That makes the car turn really well, which it's doing now. He's a bit compromised into the S's there, and that's just probably the experience of the other two guys behind. Oh, defending into Bommel's not a good thing. That will really compromise you, as now he's all over him and to the back, round the outside for Coram. That is brave, but you'll go nowhere. So they're going to he'll try and set him up, Empson, into this last corner. He'll try and make him defend, and then he will try and get a switch back as he runs wide, or bad traction like that. This is it. Game on. You're going to have to go around the outside of the first corner. Henry Dawes involved.
Yeah, this is a game of chess at 120 miles an hour along the straight. Dawes there just realised there might have been an open door for him. He goes to the outside, no pressure from behind. Empson still putting the pressure on the amateur class driver in front of him. Fascinating stuff. Catches the dirt there. Lydia Walmsley had a wheel off on the inside. Yes, they hit a rut and really badly damaged her car as a result. Empson, how he held that, I don't know. Yeah,
these cars have ABS, they have traction control, and you've got to use them as best you can. It's the law of physics. It's not just going to stop the car locking up, it will limit the lockups at the front. But look at this, into turn 1 into Ritchie's, bounce off the curb from the 27. He tries to cut back, it looks like it's done. Bang! That right rear, the compression of the damping just fires it into the air, but he still gets it done. And look, Leung is still in front for P3. This, whatever happens, Darren, this is an exceptional display of driving here.
Yeah, great stuff from the amateur, and it's easy to think we might be bigging him up too much, but you know, he's an AM driver. He hasn't had the luxury of doing, as Paul said earlier on in the race, hasn't got years of karting under his belt, barely done track days come in, but he's done the right thing. He's invested wisely, not only in the kit that he's driving here, but also in his tutelage. He's got the likes of Ginetta's works driver Charlie Robertson coaching him.
Yep, Charlie Robertson, a lot of the guys from Ginetta, they love him actually. Well, he's just a good lad. I know him really well, and it really does help when you're a personable person and you invest in the right places. And very technically driven guy he is, and he loves numbers, and that is what's making him a really fast driver. Brilliant, meticulous with the data.
It's one of the head scratch moments for Ginetta, isn't it? What class do you put a driver in? And Ginetta worked really hard at looking where they're going to put him. They could have put him as a pro driver on his speed this year, and you know, poor old Ginetta, they'll get comments if they do and comments if they don't. But it's fair, I think, as a new driver, being the AM. That's Luke Waugh. This is his home race. Oh,
Tokyo Drifter.
He was, wasn't it?
He had 2 bites at that, didn't he? Fair play.
Luke Waugh's a great lad, so consistent. He's normally top 3 of the championship at the moment, not quite in the...
Oh, that was Nick Halstead having a moment there at Agostini's hairpin. So big moment for him. A lot of the rear tyres now are starting to lose grip, and that is the problem. So eating up these tyres at the rear with the heat, and now they're starting to ask on that throttle for grip, and they're not getting it.
The other thing I'd like to see, if we get a chance, would be to have a look at James Taylor, who's leading the G55 Pro category. Could be on for his first senior class win here, James Taylor. So I'm keeping an eye on that on the time screen, but we're still watching this great 3-car battle going through. And James Taylor might have, he's again a driver who's had some woes. There is James Poulain next up. Aston Millar black and white flag for track limits, but there is James Taylor in the white team hard car. Poulain coming under pressure from Luke Reed, recovering from the very back of the grid and challenging for second. Might have time to reel in Taylor as well. Luke Reed, if there was such a thing as an outright championship leader, has got the most points of anybody in all 4 classes, and a lot of championships work that way. There are 4 different championships, but I know the team, Wolf Motorsport team with Carlito, Morocco and company, very disappointed that Luke was involved yesterday and going off the back. It's always interesting to hear drivers' perspective. Someone said, oh, it was a racing incident, but then there was a disqualification, so maybe it was a little bit more than that. Unfortunate nonetheless. So we go back to Tom Empson, still working hard at Darren Leon. Look how close he's got here. Yeah, Darren's going to really struggle if he's not careful. He's all over that dust on the inside, and it really, he doesn't want to leave the door open on the inside at Murray's because he knows he's in trouble. But coming up to Richie's here so fast, he's all over the dust again, and I think Empson's trying to get him on the inside again but not hit the curb. Is he going to try that switchback? Because he tries to come in tight. Look at the 27. He can't get close enough, but Dawes is now catching again. He was nowhere, and this is great stuff for Leon. Big lunge. No, can't get it stopped. Slows it down, but Leon can only hope that he just saves them tyres on the traction zones with the traction control, and the 2 guys behind him fight. That is the way to do it. But his defence has been awesome. Yeah, I just so pleased to see these 3 drivers doing what they're doing. Darren Leung doing well, measured stuff so far from Tom Empson, who moved up through the junior ranks. Wonderful to see Henry Dawes, who's maturing as a driver, done a little bit of Fun Cup racing before. And I know when I spoke to him last year and said, are you going to move up into the new 56? And he wasn't overly sold on it. I'm glad he did, and I hope he's glad he did as well, because he's driving this year just coming on leaps and bounds, and 3 great drivers all improving, giving us a very entertaining race. Yeah, definitely, absolutely brilliant stuff. It really is good to see, and none of them really have made a massive mistake yet, and for such an as Darren to drive like he is absolutely awesome. This looks tasty. That's Poulain, isn't it? Yeah, now Luke Reed has been passed by Blake Anglis for 3rd place in class. So the white and gold car was the car disqualified from the class win yesterday. So Blake, who actually got in touch with me after the disqualification and said, I'm running off the back, this is going to see the move here. Reed was having a go in the 26 blue and black car on the outside as they come down into the hairpin, and he's going to get hung out to dry. And Anglis, yeah, through. Straight through, yeah. Nothing in that for me. That was just a little touch, and when they're on the limit and the circuit's dusty, that's the way it is. But Poulain he's in the action here, isn't he? He is, yeah. His maiden meeting, of course, was Alton Park 2 meetings back. Had a maiden class win yesterday, and the 84 car of Blake Anglis. I was going back to say, actually, that Blake got in touch with me after yesterday about the disqualification. He explained why he'd be disqualified. He said, would you like to run the onboard camera and watch me coming through the back? Fair play to him. You can only ask. You can only ask. At least his sponsors will know via this coverage that he did ask us, Well, look at this then. There's just under 4 minutes to go, and talk about hanging on and you going back to should you be an am or a pro. Darren Leung, for me, is an am all day. He's an amateur driver with amateur experience, and he's showing the pros the way home. This is brilliant. Yeah, so in second in the amateur class at the moment is still Wes Pearce, ahead of Colin White in 3rd. White's recovered well from his recalcitrant start. Empson looking a little bit ragged there. Is this going to allow Dawes a chance? Yeah, this is excellent for Darren. Forget about these 2. Darren is going to be P3 if he's not careful, but this is going to give Dawes the chance. Can Dawes be quicker than Empson has? The 27, I did see flash up, has had black and white track limits before. He just ran all over that track limits part of the track as well, so he's going to get a 5-second penalty soon if he's not careful and he runs over one of those power pads on the back of the curb, which is obviously track limits, and then you're done. So the 58, Dawes, is in the pound seats here, but yeah, it's just a big yo-yo, this three scrap, isn't it? Battle scrap. The 2 pro drivers, the 2nd and 3rd in this battle, it's the 20-year-old, so fresh out of juniors a couple of seasons ago, Tom Empson. So he's 20 years of age, and Henry Dawes, 43, so more of a gentleman driver in the pro category. Fascinating battle, as is this for P2 in the pro category of the 55, the V6 class, and Josh Poulain, who is running very, very well indeed, a very welcome addition to the championship. But here comes Blake Anglis looking at the outside. Is he going to be able to get the move done? Wakey, here comes Blakey through on the inside. Neat move.
Very neat move, that, and he had no answer, did he? The 33 just had to keep the door wide open as his front tyres all line are now washing away from the apexes. But yeah, great stuff from Blake. That was a real textbook move, that was, down at the S's.
Didn't we see him do a move like that last year here? I seem to remember us using a few superlatives. He likes this track, and what I like again is the way he's bounced back from, you know, a little bit of adversity yesterday. His head could have gone. I think last year, if he'd have had a DQ last year, his head would have dropped, and it did drop on occasions. But now he's fired up. He knows he's part of a great team. He's got a great car. He's got the ability. Josh Poulan is going to bring the battle back to him, I think. Feel a little bit sorry for Luke Reed, who's back in 4th place, who's worked really hard to come through. A lot of rebuilding on Luke Reed's car overnight in 26. They were up into the early hours getting that car. So 4th position is not going to be a bad reward for the championship class leader, who's there, the 3rd of those cars. Meanwhile, though, here is the race leader, James Kellett, doing what he's done all season long so far, apart from race 3 at Knockhill. We won't dwell on that for him, because he won't thank me, neither with his dad. Aston Miller, he would thank me for saying that. He's in 2nd position. The gap, 3.3 seconds. Kellett, Miller and Leung. We've seen a lot of Darren Leung here. There is Aston Miller. And Kellett's lap, best lap, 1:54.4 on his last lap. He is still improving, and he's 3/10 quicker than the 2nd place driver on best laps.
Talk about rubbing salt into the wounds. Oh, and that is rubbing salt into the wounds. That's Brown, isn't it?
Brown, yeah.
Has he gone off there? He must have. I don't know how he's done that. He's coming across the other side. Unless he's had a spin on the way into Agostini, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Mike's had a good drive up to that point. He's worked his way through from the back, non-finishing yesterday. We're going to catch the end of it, I think.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he spun. Let's see, the rear tyres are running out on a lot of these cars. He was just rejoining. I thought it was a bit weird that he'd come from the middle of the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I know the organisers here just making sure everybody are responsible with cigarettes and everything else, because I've had a couple of little fires here over the course of the weekend. That's Darren.
Oh, it's Darren!
Yeah.
Oh, no! What's happened to Darren on P3?
He's probably... Is he still going to be there after that off? There is Darren Leung, but he's got nobody in close quarters. So Tom Empson looking to the outside. This is the replay.
Something's gone wrong with the front. I would say it was a front left puncher, but it didn't. The car just didn't turn. Was there too much dust on the circuit? The car just ran out of front grip. What a shame. The defence of that guy. That was awful, awful luck.
So we're on to the last. That is hard luck for Darren Leung. It looks like he's still got the class win, if not an outright podium, in his grasp as we watch James Kellett coming down the Bentley straight into Brundle, now into Nelson Corner, through Bombhole, down towards Gorham. No challenge for him. The challenge for him was against himself, and as Paul pointed out, he got the fastest lap of the race on the previous tour on lap 8 it was. He's closing in on a little bit of G55 traffic. Is he going to catch them before the end of the lap? Possibly not. Goes through Murray's for the last time. James Kellett will add another win to his collection. Here he comes, the Roseland Gold Century Motorsport prepared car takes yet another win in the championship to cement the outright championship lead. Aston Miller can't do anything but just bring that car home in 2nd. A good drive by Aston, a lonely time for him, but more seat time, importantly, for the youngster from Sussex to come through. 3rd, though, looks like it's going to go to Tom Empson from Henry Dawes after the interloping of the amateur Darren Leung earlier on. And it is Empson that takes 3rd. 4th position, Henry Dawes. Darren Leung is going to win the amateur category again and takes 5th place overall. James Kellett and Aston Miller about to resume battle here. Kellett got away well yesterday, so too did Aston Miller. Kellett now gets away well, but we've got Colin White stalling on the grid. Oh, that's a shame for Connor Garlick. Empson still putting the pressure on the amateur class driver in front of him. Fascinating stuff. Catches the dirt there. Empson looking a little bit ragged there. Is this going to run outdoors a chance? Tom Empson looking to the outside. Here he comes, the Roseland Gold Century Motorsport prepared car takes yet another win. Round 10 goes the way of James Kellett, a 9th win of the season. Aston Millar second from Tom Empson and Henry Dawes. Darren Leung, outright podium, nipped away from him in the late stages of the race, but takes the 56 amateur class win from Wes Pearce and Colin White. The G55 Pro category won by James Taylor, a maiden class win for him from Blake Anglis and Luke Reed. Great driving from all three of those. That wraps up our top 10. 11th goes to Josh Poulan, yesterday's class winner. Mike Brown drives through from the back up into 12th. Dan Morris wins the 55 amateur category ahead of Ian Duggan and James Townsend. Nick Halstead, Luke Waugh and the sadly out of luck Connor Garlick